Ho, ho, ho. And I'm not talking about some of your girlfriends. Happy holiday. Holy cow. Here from Big Sills. It's one of the absolute best weeks of the year because of grub. And of course, what else? What else? Grub and Christmas. Can't get any better than that. We really appreciate everybody coming aboard, man. During this holiday time, you guys have been absolutely sensational. We appreciate it. Please hit the like button. All supers go to the top. What a day. Holy cow. What a day. What a time. I mean, what a great weekend, too, by the way, for football. I mean, outside of the college football train wrecks that we saw with the college playoffs, those things were absolutely terrible. By the way, one more note to the college football committee. Do me a favor. It's not the teams that deserve it the most. Okay? It's not. It's the best teams. Don't give me that shit anymore. Well, they won 11 games, so they must deserve it. No, you don't. You don't deserve shit. Okay? Sills, MLB lost a truly great player icon, the man of steel, Ricky Anderson. Thanks for the memories, Ricky. Merry Christmas to your family and Zander's. Hollywood Hogan, thank you very much. We really appreciate the supers. I'll tell you this flat out, too, about Ricky. Ricky used to show up to all my remotes when I was in the Bay Area, and I got a chance to cover Ricky Henderson and Barry Bonds when I worked at KNBR 68. And it was one of the truly great privileges. My wife was great friends with Ricky Henderson. And while I was doing the Raider games, because I worked on the Raider pre- and post-game show, and I worked on the broadcast team for the Raiders for their network. I was hired by Al Davis personally. Ricky Henderson would sit with my wife in the black hole there at the Coliseum, and they would watch Raider games. Then we'd all go out for drinks right after. I mean, Ricky Henderson was really an absolutely sensational man, and he was a sensational player. I had the privilege of covering Barry Bonds and Ricky Henderson at the same time. How crazy is that? Rest in peace, my friend. Absolutely true. NFL football, man, really good over the weekend. And, of course, the Commanders end up getting a win against the Philadelphia Eagles in light of the injury to Jalen Hurts. They still managed to put up over 30 points in that ball game. We're going to get to the takeaways here in a second, but, I mean, obviously, the Commanders played a pretty good game. And Jaden Daniels, hey, James Jones, are you in here? He has clearly cemented himself as having the best year at quarterback of any guy in the NFC this year. Hurts, Dak, the pizza guy or whomever in New York. He's had the best year. Congratulations to you. Hey, and by the way, he played better against Vic. He played better against Vic Fangio the second time. He won that, actually. 5 touchdowns, 340 yards in total offense. Fantastic. So, of all the quarterbacks that played in the NFC East, he absolutely had himself the best year of any quarterback in the East. And kudos to him, man. Kudos to Cliff Kingsbury. Kudos to Brian Johnson. He's passing coordinator. Great job, man. He's going to be a slam dunk NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year winner. He's going to win his 10th Rookie of the Week honor, which goes past Justin Herbert. He's going to be a force, man. That kid's going to be a force in the next couple of years. If he doesn't get hurt, and if that guy doesn't get any sustained injury, like we saw with RG3, there's no question about it. This kid's going to be a force. What a quarterback. Carried the entire team on his back. Very little running game. Dude, he made Z, your former wide receiver, a star. Hey, by the way, where the fuck was Jahan Dotson? That's been such a bum. 2 bad moves Howie Roseman has made this year. You know what they are? Bryce Huff and getting Dotson from the Commanders has been absolute horseshit. 2 awful moves. I mean, not very good. Did he have a catch in the game? I'll tell you what, AJ did his job. We're going to give you our takeaways here in a second, but obviously, injury to Hurts was a factor in that football game. We're going to give you our takeaways here in a second here. Supers go to the top, as we say. Please hit the like button here. When you have multiple 3-and-outs in the short field and gas defense, any quarterback will score, not move. Yeah, okay, Khalid, I'm going to get to that take here in a minute, and I'm going to get to it now. Hey, guys, you want to hear what the false narrative that's going around Philadelphia and the Jalen Hurtites, or the, what do they call them? The Jalenites? Dude, any team loses their starting quarterback, you're going to see significant drop-off. I don't give a shit if you're awful of an NFL team or you're a great team. If Jared Goff is not playing in Detroit, you're getting a drop-off. If Kyler Murray's not playing in Arizona, that team's going to struggle. Every team will struggle when you put your backup quarterback in. Any team. Hey, and for the record, Sam Darnold is a backup. J.J. McCarthy was supposed to be the story. Okay? Sam Darnold has had one of the absolutely best years of any quarterback in the NFC this year. I'd say the only quarterback that's had a better year is Goff. He's outside of Goff, Sam Darnold's had the second best year of any quarterback in the NFC. I mean, it's fact. He's won. He's put up enormous numbers. What hasn't he done this year? I'll tell you what, that guy's going to make a killing if Minnesota doesn't bring him back. That was a great win up in Seattle. They went on the road and they pulled that game out in the end. Kudos to Sam Darnold, man. That was a great victory for them. Again, I'm going to get to the Eagles and the loss. Hey, by the way, I'm going to bury the lead here with you. And I'm going to say this. Does that game in any way diminish my thoughts on the Eagles at being a good team or one of the top 5 teams in the NFL? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You played a shitty game. Your quarterback was injured. It was a poorly coached game. There was no discipline. Like, do you know how hard it is to play at that consistent pace, week in and week out, and not have a letdown? You know, I'll tell you flat out, it could have been anybody. This was destined for this to happen. It just happened to be the Commanders. The Eagles are not really playing right now against anybody. They're playing against themselves. So again, and Flexen goes, no excuses. No, there's no excuses. I'm telling you human nature. Okay, bad games happen. To stay at that level every week, dude, like I said, it didn't really matter. It was the Commanders. And by the way, did it hurt that Hurts was out? Of course it did. What moron wouldn't say that? Hey, what moron wouldn't say that for any starting quarterback to go out with a contending team? If Patrick Mahomes went out, name the contender. If Matthew Stafford went out, of course it's going to play a factor. That's why there's only 32 of these jobs in the NFL and in the world. It's the starting quarterback on an NFL team. It's one of the most difficult jobs there is in all of sports. And when you lose that guy, I saw Seth go, now you know the importance of Hurts. It's not the importance of Hurts, you moron. It's the importance of the position and the guy you have in there. It has nothing to do with Hurts. It has everything to do when you lose your starter. And he's one of those 32 men. Of course there's a drop-off. Of course you're going to have 3-and-outs. There's no getting around it. Hey, by the way, do you know how insane of an athlete and a great player you have to be one of the 32? Even if you're in fucking Carolina. Even if you're the starting quarterback for the Saints. These jobs are so hard. They're so difficult. And when you blow up and not have a guy in there like a Hurts, like a Darnold, like anybody, you're going to lose. Or the chances of you losing absolutely are high. This is not about the importance of Jalen. It's about the importance of the starting quarterback in today's NFL. That's why teams sign guys like Kenny Pickett. I don't think Kenny Pickett played bad at all. I don't think he played bad. I'll tell you what I think Kenny Pickett did. He played like a backup. The fuck did you want him to play like? Joe Montana? Tom Brady? The fuck are you talking about? I thought he played well. Now, the problem that I had with him was pushing the ball down the field. He couldn't do it. Well, he's a backup. He was, dude, they put up over 300 total yards, and they did score 30 points. I mean, what were you expecting? What exactly were you expecting? Nick Foles? That's not happening. And they played 3 games. I mean, dude, he was fine. Danny Dimes would have helped. Damn you, flick it. Danny Dimes? Dude, Danny Dimes? Kenny Pickett? Marcus Mariota? They're all the fucking same. They're all the same. They're all the same guys. Guys, please hit the like button. Supers go to the top. That's right. Dirty D. Pickett did enough to win the game. He drove you down to get the game lead with the field goal. If Devontae Smith catches the fucking football, the game's over. He wins it. And he would have done enough. They would have done enough. And by the way, your defense was owned by Jaden Daniels. Owned by Jaden Daniels. They had 5 turnovers and still beat you. You want to hear something? The Eagles are the first team since 2010 to have 30 or more points and have 5 turnovers and lose. How you doing? Did you hear what I said? The Eagles are the first team in 15 years in the NFL to score 30 or more points. Okay? Get 5 turnovers and lose. And you know you probably could add into that? And rush for 200 yards. That shows you, too, also the importance of a passing game. You ran the ball for 200 yards on 38 attempts and still lost. And still lost. Hit the like button. Big Sills. You slick son of a gun. Jane Daniels, baby. He put the ball in his hands. With the game on the line, he will get you every time. James, I think what he did yesterday and how well he played and how he played like Josh Allen yesterday. He's just got to tune up those shitty plays. I mean, there were about 10 shitty plays in that game for him where you went, man, really? Then he turns around the next play and you're like, holy shit, you see who he is. Okay? You see what he is. But he's a rookie. I thought he was sensational. Fair point about the starting quarterback, Sills, but Malik Willis is 3-0 this year without Love. I think Green Bay has more discipline. Let me ask you something, okay? By the way, losing CJ killed us. Malcolm got torched for 2 TDs. Yeah, one thing about CJ that I'd like to say, hey, fucking grow up. Stop being a fucking pussy. Grow up. You go into the locker room and you start Instagramming because you don't like what the referees are saying. I'm sick of him. Dude, grow up. You know what? I like shit talkers. And you know what else I like? I like people that have an edge to them. But there's a place to have it. So he goes in the locker room. He starts talking shit on the refs while his teammates, get your ass out there. Or sit down and shut the hell up and let your team go out there and play. What a distraction he is. I can't stand that guy's attitude off the field. On the field, I like the shit talking. I'm okay with it. Time and a place, though, man. He's got a really awful attitude. And by the way, you watch when he leaves Philly, the shit he'll talk on you. Don't ever trust somebody who talks shit on you once thinking that they're not going to again. He's already done it. Don't give that guy the fucking benefit of the doubt. He talks shit on Detroit fans. This guy's a one-way ticket guy. He's not a real, he doesn't like your city. He plays in your city. He's already fucking talked shit on you once. Well, what are you going to do? Give him a pass? I think he's what? You're not really that guy? Give me a break. Give me a break. Okay? Honest to God, grow up, kid. You had discipline issues all over the place. I'm going to give it to Zander, and I'm going to tell Zander's right. You know what? I thought that stuff would have been addressed by Clint Hurt and Nick Sirianni about Jalen Carter. Hey, kid, grow up. I do not mind shit talkers. As a matter of fact, I embrace them. Know your moment, though, man. This is the second game in a row you're acting like an asshole. Hey, they're going to – and by the way, you know what people will say? Sills, did you see the penalty? The penalty wasn't really a penalty. They're looking for you. No shit. You've got a reputation of not having good discipline. And they're going to use that against you until you prove them wrong. Well, wait, Sills, it wasn't fair. That's not fair. What does NFL officiating have to do with fair? Okay? You talk shit on us. How you doing? No shit. I'm not costing me my show. Okay? I'm not costing critical situations in a game. Okay? Like I said, I don't mind the shit talking. But know the moment. Be smart about it. Don't ever be the second guy retaliating when you're throwing hands, because you're going to get called on it every time. And Jalen Carter right now is a targeted man. Every single time he does something, the refs are going to throw a personal foul flag on you. How do you not know that? You know why you don't know that? Because you are an immature, undisciplined football player mentally. You know what he's got down right now? He's learning the technique, Jalen Carter. You know what he's not doing? He's not learning the discipline of being a pro. No wonder you were involved in a situation that had a tragic ending to. You know why? You don't have mental capacity to understand the moment you're in, no matter if it's a tragedy like that or a small moment in a game. You don't know your discipline moments. You have no discipline in your life. You have to find that. Because the next time it could be another situation where you put yourself in a big-time problem. Those are the guys you question. How far are you going to go as a professional? Grow up. I love the kid, but grow up. Okay? This is 2 weeks in a row. But Sills, it really was. It's on you to grow up, kid. Your coach can only point out your bullshit so long before. Hey, I'm going to tell you something else. You know what happens to people like Jalen Carter? You better be great all the time. Because the moment you're not, they'll fucking get rid of you, because you know why? They know that your talent is not there anymore. They're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay? Hey, get this. Maybe the head coach should have yelled at him. Correct. That's what Zander said. Okay? So I saw somebody post something. Zander, I want you to find that guy. I want you to find the guy that posted Jerome was the same. Will you please do that for me? And find that. Somebody put it in there. He's dead. He's dead. You win, Troy. You win. He's dead. You win. Okay? You win. Okay? You win. Does that piss me off? Not you, Troy. Yes. Jerome was undisciplined. Jerome was undisciplined. And my friend lost his life. Don't you get what I'm saying here? Yeah. This is what I'm saying to you, Troy. Okay? Control it. Okay? Control it. I don't want you to be undisciplined. I want you to fulfill your destiny on what Jerome couldn't do. Okay? I'm here to help. I'm not here ripping the kid. I want nothing but great things for Jalen Carter. Okay? You see a young Jerome and Carter, don't go down the damn path. Khalid. Yes. Okay? Right. Everything you do in your life, Jalen Carter, you have a shot to fulfill the destiny that wasn't fulfilled by 99. Don't let it slip through your hands because people will start doing. And I saw somebody post something about Dominican Sue. Sue had that reputation too, and it carried with him. Jalen Carter has a lot in common like that with Jerome. Great players. And get this, cavalier attitudes. Because you're such a dominant force. You look at the things around you sometimes, a lot of shit doesn't matter to you. You know how frustrated we all used to get around Jerome? Hey, you want to hear something Jerome used to do at the vet? The vet had a big parking lot, right? Lincoln Financial is built in that same area, right? Remember the vet's old gigantic parking lot? Jerome would take his motorcycle out there and go 180 miles an hour at lunchtime. And Jeff Fisher and all those guys used to put their hand over their eyes. I used to get so scared because he was so reckless. Okay? I come from a place, like I said, in my opinion, be smart, son. That's all the seagulls, right? They're bird heads. Okay? I want nothing but the very best for Jalen Carter. Just the very best. I swear to you. Yesterday was the first game we felt the loss of Brandon Graham. Yeah, I thought the edges were a little bit suspect as well. Okay, I did. I thought Nolan Smith showed up, played good again. I did. We're going to get to all of it here in a minute. Sills, the message you just delivered and the same message that Clint should deliver to Carter, the ignorance of youth can be deadly. You know what, too, Bob? I'm going to say this because the kid is such a young player and he's such a young guy and he reminds us both of Jerome Brown so much that, you know what? His attitude and his personality is what really sometimes wins you over so much that you know what you do? You don't go ass in on him and you don't go knee deep on him like sometimes you should probably go knee deep in on. And that's the case here with this. Yes, Nick Sirianni, because it happened again, he should have did it. Okay. I don't want to go on because, again, that wasn't the reason that they lost the ball game. There were numerous reasons that they lost the ball game too. Like Nick said, it just was sloppy play, sloppy coaching, undisciplined. The quarterback was out. Hey, guys, this was going to happen. You're lucky it happened now instead of the playoffs. At the end of the day, you're lucky it happened now. And you know, they were talking about whether or not, you know, should you have no, this was inevitable. Playing at that high level all the time, no matter what the opponent was. It just, like I said in the open, it happened to be Washington. The Philadelphia Eagles are not playing against opponents anymore. They're playing against themselves. What cost them that game? Like I said, it was very evident on what cost them that game. You know, they're professionals too. Washington has components and pieces that can beat you. We said that on Friday, and we said that in the pregame show. By the way, Angelo Cataldi will join us at 3:30. We will have Gary Cobb at 4:30, and we're going to fit in Zander somewhere before the top of the 5 o'clock Eastern time, too. So please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Okay? I saw that, too, and you're right. There were chop blocks out there that were very evident out there, and they were not called. I think, once again, the NFL referees this year have been fucking shitty. Replace Big Dom, Big Sills, and it will be right as rain. How you doing? And I'm sure Dom does a really great job with those players, and those players all trust him. I get it. Listen, again, I want nothing but great things for that kid. I mean, I do. I think he's got a chance to fulfill a destiny that a player that they're comparing him to couldn't, because Jerome was undisciplined. I mean, here, I'll tell you one quick story. Some of you I've told the story to. Then we're going to move on to what happened. Jerome used to have a shitload of guns, Glocks, everything, okay? All kinds of handguns. This guy had an AK-47. So you know what he did? The cops were coming for him. He put him in my room. I go, Jerome, I'm not going to jail for this. I don't own a gun. And so we used to have these old milk boxes out front. So Jerome put the guns in there, and the police came to our dorm, and sure enough, the police opened it up, and there I'm standing there, and I didn't say nothing. Jerome goes, they're mine. And I wasn't going to say it because I wanted him to say it. They kicked him off campus. They almost kicked him out of school. Because why? And I told him, I go, what's the point of having a gun on campus? I mean, seriously. I know we live in Miami, but we're in Coral Gables. It's the widest area in the world is Coral Gables. And I'm like this, why the fuck do you have guns in Coral Gables? Dude, they know every black guy in Coral Gables, Jerome, and they know you play at the U. They know who you are. Why are you have a gun? I get in Overtown in Liberty City. I understood that. I went down there with him to Overtown in Liberty City, but we lived in Coral Gables. Coral Gables is like the whitest place on the planet. Okay, like the whitest place. I'm like, why do you get guns on campus? Okay, it made no sense. I mean, what are you going to do? Hold up a jeweler? I'm going, who are you going to hold up? A billionaire? But he didn't care. Okay, so, yeah, just be smarter out there, man. Know who you are. Sills, the loss gives coaches who teach their players like Stout the opportunity to not only refocus, but to get them a real bone on to chew on. That's right. The loss can scare this team into a playoff focus. Yeah, but I'll tell you one more time. By the way, please hit the like button here, okay? Coral Gables is like the Beverly Hills of Florida. Yeah, okay, yeah. Every house is like a $10 million house. I'm like, what are we doing here? Honest to beans, man. Hey, by the way, I see people, dude, don't blame the refs. The fucking refs sucked. So what? They sucked for both teams. NFL officiating. You know what I think it is too? The NFL officials might want to get a little younger. Keep up with the game. I don't know. Just some of these guys. And you know what I don't like? And this goes into Hurts. Every time you get an athletic quarterback, whether he's Hurts or Josh Allen, they don't know how to call flags on those guys. Okay? If that guy's running out of bounds and you hit him, he should be protected the same way Tom Brady's protected, no matter if he's a running quarterback or not. I don't think they legislate the same penalties on those dual threat guys that they do on those drop back guys. And that's old mentality. Okay? That's an old man's mentality. Dude, Jalen Hurts is running up those fucking sidelines. By the way, I didn't think the play was dirty. I think his head hit the ground, and it was a good football play. By the way, he probably won a bounty. He probably won the money in the jar. Was that Bobby Wagner that did that? Or frankly, somebody won the money in the jar by taking the quarterback out. That's your job. Legally take his ass out. Nothing wrong with that. You don't want to do anything. Hey, nobody wants to injure somebody permanently, but people want to go out and try to take your quarterback out. That's a standard rule. It's hey, you want to hit those guys as much as possible. So Louvu probably got the bounty. Probably got a couple grand out of that thing by taking the quarterback out. It was legal. He didn't do anything wrong. Hey, and do this. Stop with that. It was a football play. I think the ground caused it, not the hit. The ground. You get more concussions with the ground, your head hitting the ground, than when you are getting hit by actual somebody, okay? It's the turf that ends up causing these concussions. I don't know what the latest is. Saquon was on pace for 400 in that first quarter. Hey, by the way, Jalen Hurts wasn't out to a very good start in the passing game, but when he was out on a great pace was in that run game. And I'll explain why Jaden Daniels played well in that football game. There are numerous reasons why he played well. He's a great player. Okay? He's an absolute great player. I know you would disagree. I disagree very late. No, it wasn't. Absolutely stupid. And anybody who does that is doing the same Carson Wentz, Jadeveon Clowney bullshit, whatever. Okay? It wasn't a late hit. It was a good hit. Stupid. It's called football. If you want to play flag football, and I did say flag, then so be it. But it was a good hit. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay? Nothing wrong with that hit. And you're trying to protect your boy. He got hit. And he went and hurt his head on the turf. End of story. Okay? Could happen to any quarterback in the game on any given play. But here's what you get with dual threat. Dual threat. Style of play will cause this. Okay? Style of play are going to cause this. I mean, be prepared. That's why you don't have a very high ceiling in this when you play that style of football. You better be built like Josh Allen. Okay? You better be built like Josh Allen. I mean, it's what it is. When you have and you play that type of style, the chances of you, here, figure this out. How many carries does Jalen Hurts? Hey, somebody with some brains in here. How many carries does Jalen Hurts have this year when it comes to carrying the football? How many carries does he have? He probably has as many carries as many running backs do because he has as many touchdown runs as pretty much every quarterback or every running back has this year. Okay, AJ's helmet to helmet in the end zone and no PI. I didn't see that. You think AJ Brown was terrorizing Lattimore? What I said, Khalid, not early. if you were on the pregame show, Zander will tell you, I said that Lattimore's conditioning was going to be tested in this game by A.J. Brown. Early in the game, I thought Lattimore did a nice job. But as they kept running those long routes on him, if you notice what they were doing, they were running those mature routes on him. And I thought Lattimore ran out of gas and he was holding and grabbing because he had to. I mean, he is not in shape to hang in there with him. He's only been active for 1 week. And then the following week, you got to play A.J. Brown. That's not enough football plays to stick with a guy like that. And he was not in shape to hang with him. He couldn't hang with the reps. He is a great football player. And I thought Lattimore is and did some really good things in the game. But A.J. was torturing him because A.J.'s in great shape. He was running those long routes, and he would go back and run another long route. Then he'd go back and run another. He was wearing him out. He wore him out, I thought, physically by the second quarter, third quarter. I thought he was out of gas. And I said that I wanted to know what his conditioning was going to be. And there were like 3 or 4 in a row that they called on him. That's a conditioning issue. I thought also, too, A.J. really played with a great sense of veteran leadership too, man. When he grabbed him, it's a great way to keep his hands off him. And he had him under here. He was totally holding him. That should have been a penalty on A.J. Brown. But then he hooked his arm, and the ref could only see the arm. Guess who's going to get tagged on that? The defender. A.J. had him right here under his cuff, on his shoulder pads. He easily could have been called for that. But you know why they didn't? Lattimore hooked him. The DB is not going to get the benefit. The receiver is. Okay? All right? So to me, I just didn't think he was in good enough shape. Okay? I got to tell you, man, Jalen Daniels was spectacular in that game. He was just spectacular. He's going to be a force. Let me give you my takeaways here. Let's see if you agree. Then we'll go by the numbers here. You don't get game balls when you lose. Okay? Thank you, Twiz. So let me tell you this. So, hey, Twiz. So Jalen Hurts has 150 carries. Okay? 150 carries as a runner. He's in the pocket and he's been sacked 38 times. Okay? The chances of Jalen Hurts getting hit and hurt are twice as high as a Joe Burrow. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow is healthier than Jalen. He's not. But the chances of Hurts having a concussion or getting hit are twice as high as anyone else because of the 150 carries. Think about this. If Jalen Hurts had played these 3 games, Jalen Hurts would have 190 carries as a running back. At the running back, he would have 190 carries. That's a ton. 190 carries. Look how running backs get pounded. Look how they get hit. Let alone the fact that he's in the pocket and he gets hit. Okay? I mean, the chances of him having that type of sustained injury and being hit like that and hurt like that, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more. As it gets older, it will. And it'll be longer to come back from. Now, again, I'm not playing neurologist here. I have no idea what the length of the concussion is going to be here on what the Eagles and how the Eagles are going to play this out. Minnesota, I said on the postgame show, Minnesota winning that game, now you're basically behind the 8 ball here on whether or not you're going to get home field advantage. We're going to talk about that as well. Okay? We're going to talk about that as well. The chances of him, by the way, the chances of Jaden Daniels getting injured is high because he's a dual threat guy. Look at RG3, rookie of the year. Guy didn't last after that. That was the end of that. And what happened to RG3 once he lost his wheels? He was never a quarterback again in the NFL of any kind of substance. Okay? RG3 was on his way to being like the next guy. But his wheels, They ended up getting injured, and that was the end of it. Okay? That's a great – thank you very much. That's cool. 128, I'm assuming carries. And that number is down for Lamar, believe it or not. 126 carries. He's usually up in the 200s in carries, Buckholter. So that number's down. That's because he's throwing the ball and Derrick Henry's in the room. Okay? I mean, yeah, they rushed his injury, James Jones. They brought him back. Hey, by the way, James, just so you know how poor your doctors were under Daniel Snyder, they not only fucked over RG3 and his injury recovery, they were trying to do the same bullshit to Trent Williams. And that's why Trent got out of there, because the doctors were so poor in D.C. that he wanted out. I mean, they misdiagnosed him. He said, I'm out of here. Washington letting loose of Trent Williams is ridiculous. Seals, I agree about the carries, but you could probably cut the rush total in half because of all the push carries. I know you can get hurt in the pile, but they're low impact carries. Bob, I think there's a better chance. You notice that they don't run that any longer in Kansas City with Mahomes after Mahomes hurt his ankles. Mahomes has a history of ankle injuries too. Okay? I mean, we're seeing it more and more as he's getting older. I mean, he's always dealing with an ankle injury. By the way, Kansas City's the luckiest 14-1 team I've ever seen, right? Stupid comment. All right, here's my takeaways. Then we'll get to the numbers. Do me a favor, guys. Give me a total on where we are with our likes right now. Please hit that like button. We appreciate it. All right. First and foremost, I said it. The Hurts hit was a football play. Enough said. Enough said. Okay? 5 turnovers in the ball game your defensive football team creates. But at the end of the day, they could not stop Jaden Daniels. Now, why was that? Well, when you lose your starting quarterback, you're going to get a ton of 3-and-outs, and every mistake that he makes, he's going to get a chance to recover from the mistakes. When Jalen Hurts' quarterback is in the game, you're not getting the ball back as often as the Commanders were going to get the ball back with the 3-and-outs. The drop passes didn't help. Okay? If he could have Jaden Daniels could have threw 2 more interceptions, and probably the game would have been no different because of the 3-and-outs the Eagles were creating. Like I said, Pickett played well, but the part that Pickett did not play well at, pushing the ball down the field and too many 3-and-outs. I mean, look at the third down rate. We'll get to the numbers here. Every mistake that the Commanders made, it didn't matter. Okay, because they were going to get the ball back. Washington knew that. Washington knew they were going to get the game. And Washington did the number one thing that I said they had to do. You know what that was? Make it a fourth quarter game. Every single thing Washington did in that game, it favored them, especially after Hurts went out. And that was this. Make it a fourth quarter game and give me last possession. And that's exactly what – dude, when you're an inferior team to a team that has a roster like the Philadelphia Eagles, the only thing you can hope for, the same way Doug Peterson did a masterful job of coaching in that Jags game, give my team, who's the lesser team, the last chance and the last chance to win. That's all you can ask when you're the lesser team. And that's when you know you've been outcoached. Okay? If a shittier team than you, or circumstances like Hurts getting hurt, okay? If you have the ball in your hand with a chance to win, you did your job all day. Because to me, if I'm Washington, perfect thing happened. I got my last swing and you didn't. That's how you win ball games, and that's how you outcoach the opposing team with better talent. Okay? If you think you're going to go swing for swing with a team like Philly, you're in trouble. Now, the quarterback going out kept the game even. Once the quarterback went out, the game was even. Okay? There's no doubt. You lose your starting quarterback. I don't care what team you are. You lose your starting quarterback in the NFL, chances you win that ball game are slim. I don't care who it is, Carolina, what have you. You put the position you can't have, the lesser guy go in at. Hey, get this. How many times you seen Jeff Stoutland put a guy in and there's really very little drop off? You put a fucking quarterback in over a starter at any position in the league, take a look at the drop off that you get with that. It's like a Grand Canyon drop off. Okay? It's a Grand Canyon drop off. Too much talent to be making bonehead penalties like yesterday. By the way, Merry Christmas to you and your family, Sills. Gabe, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Really cool. Okay? I mean, Hurts didn't start out throwing the ball well. He started out really great running the ball. Hey, I'll say this too. Daniels got the best of Vic Fangio yesterday. Now, the injury to Hurts helped. But you still ran more plays than what Washington did. They were more effective in their plays than you were. We're going to get to the numbers. It just tells you how many more opportunities that you had that you didn't take advantage of in that game because your quarterback was the backup. AJ, I thought, did his job, but he had some drops in the game. Okay? Smitty catch the ball, game over, period. Correct. Game's over. Pickett did his job. He got you down in a position. They even went ahead with the field goal. I thought Elliott getting kind of on track again. You're going to need that, especially in the winter part of the season and the calendar right now. To give Washington any credit, stop trying to give Washington any credit. They fucking beat you. They don't need credit. They beat you, and they beat Vic Fangio. By the way, dog, Jalen Hurts don't play defense. He fucking ripped you a new one. Merry Christmas to you, Anthony. Thank you, brother. Quarterbacks don't play defense. Quarterbacks help a defense. Okay? Hurts' impact was felt. And I'll show you here in a minute. But I'm not going to belittle what Washington did. They scored 36 points on you. End of story. Make all the excuses you want. They scored 36 points on you. Defense did more than enough to win that game. 5 turnovers. With the pick from Jaden, should have been an easy win. We wouldn't be talking about Jalen. Yeah, well, fucking guess what? That's not reality. That's fantasy talk. Talk about what happened. Okay? Talk about what actually happened in the game. You see us rebounding from this? Totally. Rebounding from what? A game that you were going to lose, whether it was the Commanders, the Giants. Hey, who did Kansas City lose to this year? Can you tell me who Kansas City lost? Buffalo. Okay, Buffalo's a great team. But Buffalo's been beat. I saw the Rams take them apart. You beat them. Shit happens, man. Shit happens. Hit the like button, please. Fangio's defense is relying on opposing quarterbacks making mistakes. The offense getting 3 and outs gives Washington more bites at the apple. That's exactly correct. That's exactly what happened. Jalen Hurts' absence caused that. It didn't matter how many turnovers Washington had. Your quarterback was not going to sustain drives. Okay? Even though you had more plays. I'm going to show you how this completely played into Daniels playing better and getting more opportunities. He got more opportunities to play better. That's what happened. Offense didn't help the defense. Yes. Yes. Now, I will concede this. There's no question. Again, but this is any starting quarterback. But Hurts' ability to run the football was clearly felt. I've never seen this. A team at 5 turnovers run the ball for 200 yards and score over 30 points and lose. I can't remember the last time. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Okay, I don't know if I've ever seen that. You score 33 points, 200 and some odd yards rushing, and you create 5 turnovers, and you lose? Okay, I mean, Jahan Dotson stinks. Plain and simple. Wow. An absolute wasted third-round pick on that guy. Wow. He has no right being on the Eagle roster. He's not a good player. James Jones is right. He's not a very good player. Okay? He is a complete 1,000% bust. 100% bust. He is not a good football player. Tell you what, he's as good as Jalen Reagor. Jalen Hurts can't even find him. I mean, it wasn't a Kenny Pickett thing. That guy had no impact this year since he's been an Eagle. None. Zero. That Zacchaeus guy, you cut him and you signed him. Washington got the better three guy. The guy you cut is better. How he fucked that up? Could have kept the third and him, put him in the 3-hole. Okay? Jaden Daniels made that guy look like a star yesterday. If Hurts was in the game, Barkley was getting 250 yards. Probably. Hurts probably would have had 100 himself. I mean, the guy you cut at wide receiver was a star yesterday. And you gave a third rounder up for it. For a dud. He's terrible. By the way, I thought the linebackers for the Commanders / Redskins were great. I thought Luvu and Wagner were everywhere. I thought they were everywhere. Came down to some circumstances, and we're going to get the numbers will speak to what happened in the game. But at the end of the day, okay, you move on from shit like this. It's not that hard. CD is going to Canton. Well, I'll tell you what CD will be doing. CD's going to Canton with no tangible hardware to his name except numbers. And at that position, that's all they'll give a shit about anyway. Because if you look at the superstar outside of Jerry Rice, Randy Moss doesn't have hardware. He's got numbers. Terrell Owens doesn't have hardware. He's got numbers. Those are the top three guys in the league next to Rice with yardage and catches. And they don't have Super Bowls. I mean, okay. They have no Super Bowl wins. I mean, Megatron, no Super Bowl wins. Hall of Famer. I mean, sure, okay. Get all the numbers you want. You have no impact on winning a Super Bowl. Most of those top flight guys don't have any impact on winning a Super Bowl. It's not how the quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Receivers don't. Larry Fitzgerald, no Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, take a look at that. If you before I get to the numbers here, I mean, all-time wideouts. All-time receiver yards. Take a look at this. Just to show you that the position is overvalued. Rice, 3 Super Bowl rings. Larry Fitzgerald, 2nd, none. Terrell Owens, 3rd, none. Randy Moss, 4th, none. Isaac Bruce, 1, 5th. Tony Gonzalez, none, 6th. Tim Brown, 7th, none, 7th. Steve Smith Sr., 8th, none. Marvin Harrison, 1 Super Bowl, 9. Reggie Wayne, 9. And 11 is Andre Johnson. So the top 11 wide receivers, only Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, and Isaac Bruce and Jerry Rice. 4 of the 11 have Super Bowl rings. Wide receivers with big numbers don't win Super Bowls. They just don't. They have no impact on your team. I mean, look at Juju Smith-Schuster has a ring and Randy Moss doesn't. Hines Ward has a ring. Okay? And Larry Fitzgerald doesn't. I mean, these big-time wide receivers. There's a dickhead in here that says not true. Really? Okay. Let's go to top 15. No, let's go to top 20. Jason Witten, 20, no ring. Steve Largent, 19, no ring. Andre Reed, ring. No ring. Buffalo, no ring. Excuse me. Torrey Holt, 17, 1. Julio Jones, no ring. Henry Ellard, who was on that Rams team, they were all on the same team, has a Super Bowl ring. Anquan Bolden, I believe, has one in Baltimore. Carter, no ring. Lofton, no ring. Andre Johnson, no ring. Reggie Wayne, ring. Marvin Harrison, ring. Steve Smith, no ring. Brown, no ring. Gonzalez, no ring. Randy Moss, no ring. Terrell Owens, no ring. Larry Fitzgerald, no ring. Jerry Rice, ring. 5 of the top 20 players that are in the history of the NFL, receiving yardage-wise, don't have rings. Now, Dickhead is trying to tell me that's wrong. 5 of the top 20 all-time receivers in yardage don't have rings. Okay. Justin Jefferson will never win a ring. Let's go to the numbers here. So when you have a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown, chances of you winning a Super Bowl are nothing with those guys. Those guys won't be the guys that are going to deliver the mail. It's quarterback. Now, if I did the top quarterbacks of all time, I guarantee you there's a bunch of them that have rings. Okay? Let's take a look at the numbers here, and it's going to tell you a little bit more what went on in this game here. Okay? They did score 33 points. First downs, 23-20. Okay, pretty even. Third down, here's the significance right here of making up for mistakes in the game. The Eagles were 3 of 16. What happens when you're 16 third downs? 8 times you turn the ball over on 3 and out. You understand that? You gave them 8 shots more. You didn't need more plays. You just needed those 8 3 and outs. Okay? Here, you ran 71 plays to their 64. Those 3 and outs were the difference. You couldn't get sustained drives. If Hurts is in there with those wheels, he's getting sustained drives. That third down efficiency is going to be up near where Washington was at 7 of 13. Okay? I mean, right there is kind of the mistakes. They get 5 turnovers. Fair enough. You gave them 8 shots to make it up. Okay? You gave them 8 shots to make up them 5 turnovers. And they did. 368 yards and total offense to 338. The Eagles moved the ball, but situational play calling in the game was affected too. I thought Kellen Moore kind of wobbled around a little bit with Kenny Pickett. I thought both those guys were a little bit wobbly. And then you had the drops. I thought the coordinator wasn't on the same page. Now, again, you battled through it. I thought it was a gutty performance. I thought it was gritty. I mean, you hung in there. You didn't fucking just tank it. You kept in there and, you kept going. Hey, what do I think the score would have been if Jalen plays? 28-20? Something like that? And I think, like I said, it probably would have been 28-14 or 28, something like that. And they get a cheap touchdown late in the game to make it look kind of close. It would have been like a 28-14 game. And I tagged on 7 because of the weather. It'd have been some shit like that. Again, Jalen didn't start out playing very well offensively when it came to throwing the ball. He was 1 of 4 what was it, 4 for 11 or something? I forget what it was. Here, I got the numbers here. Yeah, it was 1 for 4. I mean, for 11 yards. That's not an indictment on what would have happened. I'm just saying he wasn't. Because look what he did. He had 3 carries for 41 yards. They couldn't stop that. The problem was the linebackers didn't have to worry about it when Hurts left because of Pickett. Let me finish this up here with the numbers. Passing 255 to 127. You're making it sound like Kenny Pickett played bad. You guys only average 180 yards a game. So he was 60 yards under the average of what you've done all year. I mean, you're making it sound like you have some prolific passing game. You don't. You ran the ball for 39 times for 211 yards. Fucking crazy great. And you lose? And you had 5 turnovers, which is insane. They ran the ball 24 times for 113. They really didn't have a running game going in that football game. Penalties killed you. Undisciplined. 10 for 91. Do you understand when you give up 10 penalties for 100 yards, you give up the entire length of a football field in field position? Do you understand? You give up the entire field, 100 yards in field position. And when you have 3 and outs, like 3 for 16, and you give 100 yards up in field position, dude, you need 5 turnovers to hang yourself in there. The Commanders should have blew you out, actually. Okay? They should have blew you out. But they don't have the talent to blow you out. I mean, you gave them 100 yards in field position. And the 3 and outs on top of that. And 5 turnovers and 200 yards rushing. There's no fucking way you should have lost this game. Okay? No way. Daniels played well. He made plays when he had to. And you gave him a chance to make up for the mistakes. And he took advantage of it. That's what happens when you don't play a clean game and you lose your starter. Again, no matter who you are. No matter who you are. Hit the like button, guys, please. Appreciate it. 5-2 turnovers. You even won the turnover battle here. Dude, you had the ball for 30 minutes. They had it for 23. Look at what you did to them. They had the ball for 23 minutes. They had 5 turnovers. They were 7 of 13 on third down. You allowed them to make plays on third down. That's your defense. By the way, I got to say this. Outside of Slay, your secondary sucked yesterday. Everyone sucked yesterday. Okay? Slay was the best player on the field in the secondary yesterday. He was the best. He was your better player. Of all the players that played in the secondary, he was the best player back there. Okay? And I know, once again, in and out of the lineup, and my God almighty, man, when he's not out there, he was evident in that game yesterday because the other guys were getting torched. I mean, everyone from Q all the way down were getting owned underneath. That zone was wide open. And you know why it was wide open? Because of Daniels' wheels. Hey, and by the way, some go like this. Well, Gardner Johnson wasn't out there. Well, that's a fucking Gardner Johnson problem and an Eagle problem. Play with more discipline, son. Well, if CJ was he wasn't. And you know what makes that? Hey, I'll give you the benefit if the guy's injured. But when the guy is acting like an asshole and the refs know his reputation, you have to know this. I didn't do anything wrong. You're not being penalized for shit you did in that game, asshole. You're being penalized for your reputation. That's Draymond Green how that works. Okay? Draymond Green gets penalized on reputation. Some of these guys need a reality check on how the world works. Dude, you don't get the benefit of the doubt when you have a reputation on being an asshole. I mean, That's an Eagle issue that you're going to have to address with your team. By the way, if I was Nick, I would fucking go crazy on Clint Hurt, and I would go crazy on Jalen Carter. I would go crazy on CJ Gardner-Johnson. Okay? I would go crazy on those guys privately. What are you thinking, man? Our quarterback's out. We had an opportunity to win this fall football game, and Gardner-Johnson, you are just as responsible for that game being lost as anybody in the building. If I were going to blame anybody, it's him. The penalty and not him being out there. You want to blame someone? He's to blame. Him, undisciplined play, being thrown out. The two whammies. And Jaden Daniels made the touchdown throw on his replacement. I don't know what else to say. How much more do you want? Hey, Seals, can't always be live, but I watch your show every day. Now, I'm not being a Hurts fan, but Hurts does give us the best chance to win. Of course he does. Dude, hey, wait a minute. If you think that I think Kenny Pickett gives them the best chance to win, that's fucking way off place. I do not think that. I honestly think if Hurts plays, we can run out the clock. Yes. You're not going to have as many 3-and-outs. Of course you're not. Of course you're not. And what was the one thing that Dan Quinn did as soon as Hurts went out? He dropped one safety down in the box. Kenny Pickett couldn't push the ball down the field with one safety high? Come on, son. This is why you're not a starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. That can't happen. That can't happen. Dan Quinn, instead of putting two safeties back there, he brought one down to run support to stop Barkley, which they did outside of that big 70-yarder. Okay? I mean, you basically, outside of that, hang when Hurts was in there, you couldn't defend it. You couldn't defend AJ and you couldn't defend Barkley. That was evident. The first two series, I'm like, holy shit. Hurts goes out, drop a guy down off the safety, probably the strong, I think it was. Put him down in there, chin. Game was the game in the running game, and you still had 200 yards. Most of it was in the first half, though. Game isn't even close if Hurts plays. That's not true. Game was close last time. You pulled away late. They had the lead at halftime. The reason they didn't stack the box in the first game because defense was a little sloppy, but they're much fresher and off the field. It hurts. That's correct. That's pretty much what I've been saying, Jay. Okay. And I'm gonna show you this right here. And I love flexing, but he's an asshole here. What is it in the best interest for my show if you guys are not very good and you're not a good football team to cover a 4-win team? Really? Flexing, you know better than that comment. Waiting for what? You to lose? Not the case. You're under the notion that I want you to fail. You're a fucking idiot, and I know you don't believe that. My show does not bet this. I'm more concerned about my show having success than the Eagles. So why in the world would I root for the Eagles to lose? Fucking asinine. I don't care about your team. I care about my show. And the only way my show continues to have great viewership is if the Eagles continue to win. Get it through your head. I'm transparent. I'm honest with you. Act like it. You think that me being right, I'm wrong. Content is king, Twiz. Thank you. Do you understand that, Flexen? If I'm right, I'm wrong. You know why? My show sucks. No one watching it. Because nobody wants to hear how bad the team is. You make it sound like I'm an Eagle fan. I'm not. Stop it. I'm not any fan. Truth hurts. It's your own. Whatever. Next. And for the record, I don't know I said anything that didn't happen. I don't know if I said anything that wasn't true. Jalen Hurts gave the ability for Jaden Daniels to be a star yesterday, not being out there. Plain and simple. No getting around it. All the 3 and outs. He could have made 3 more mistakes. It's still been in that football game because why? You were going to turn the ball back over on possession to them. Even when he had that horrible pick late, I knew they were going to get the last shot at it. And they were playing for the last swing. And they beat you. And watch this. Here's people saying, well, Sills, I got people on my Twitter actually saying, well, I see a 2023 nuclear meltdown. How did you take that out of that game? I thought a team fought their ass off and had it gritty and not playing their best football. Probably the most undisciplined I've seen since the 23. That was like 23 yesterday. But you didn't have a guy who, I'll tell you what Hurts does to your team. He may not be the best quarterback in the NFL or even in the NFC this season, but you know what he does do? He stabilizes your offense. He stabilizes your offense. And Kenny Pickett did not play poorly. He played like an NFL backup. I don't know what you were expecting. You're never going to be satisfied with the backup quarterback in Philadelphia because of Nick Foles. That was a once in a generation. You'll never see that again in NFL history. Somebody play like that and beat a guy like that. You'll never see that again. That is a one-off. That's one of the greatest moments in pro football postseason history. That guy playing that 60-minute game like that. I mean, he played like John Elway. He could never duplicate that in any other time in his season, in his career, except for 1 year. And I think he played 13 years. He could never duplicate. Okay? Troy goes Hostetler with the Giants. Hostetler only played six games on because if you remember right, Troy, Phil Simms was 10-0 that year with the Giants. When Phil Simms got hurt that year that Hostetler won the Super Bowl, Giants were 10-0. I believe they got beat. I think he got hurt against the Bills. They were 10-0. Okay? Because let's see here. So the last time that happened, it was Warner in 99. Yeah, but Warner, when Trent Green went out, it was in the preseason, Kyle. You're seeing more of what Sam Darnold's doing in what Kurt Warner did in 99, because that happened in the preseason, the same way J.J. McCarthy got hurt. And when J.J. McCarthy got hurt, okay, when McCarthy got hurt, that was in the preseason. Then they put in Sam Darnold. Shit, they were trying to replace Sam Darnold at the beginning of the year. I'll tell you what I'll do here. Let me get to the numbers here. Pickett was 14 to 24, 143. Touchdown and a pick. Not an awful game. Barkley was 29 carries, 150. Now, a lot of that was on that 70-yard run in the first quarter. I think they did a great job in the second half because they dropped that safety down. 2 TDs. Hurts was 3 carries, 41 yards at the beginning of the ball game. I think Jalen Hurts would have had 100 yards in this game. Rushing. Daniels was spectacular. 24-39, 258, 5 TDs, and 2 turnovers. The kid Davis, 9 carries, 81. Z had 5 catches for 70 yards and 2 TDs. McLaurin had 5 catches, 60 yards, and 1 touchdown. Bobby Wagner was everywhere. He was a great player yesterday. Jacoby had a really good ball game at times. I thought Dean missed a ton of tackles yesterday. Bond was really good. I thought Dean missed a shitload of tackles. Thought he missed a shitload of tackles yesterday. In that game. Hey, and I've tweeted this out, and I'll share it again. Personally, this year, if I were to rank the quarterbacks that are in the NFC East in the years that I would put Daniels 1, Hurts 2, Dak 3, and the Pizza Dude 4. And if I was going to pick my NFC quarterbacks this year, guys who had the best years so far this year, Goff 1, Darnold's 2, Jordan Love's 3, Daniels is 4, and Stafford's 5. You can make the argument Mayfield should be in there. Even though they got beat yesterday. Mayfield's had a great year. He's going to throw for 40 touchdowns. These guys all had great years this year leading their team. Do they have the roster Philly does? No. They've got to be called on. Goff has a really good roster. He takes total advantage of it. He threw for 335 yards yesterday and 3 touchdowns. He's going to throw for 44 touchdowns this season. Darnold's going to throw for 38 touchdowns. And by the way, this year, Sam Darnold, what's Hurts done this year that Darnold hasn't? Same wins. He's in a better place for winning home field advantage because you know why? If they continue to win out, they got one game against Detroit at the end of the year for not only to win the North, but to win home field advantage. You know, Minnesota right now is in a position where they could host home field advantage. The Eagles have to hope someone loses. I mean, he's had a really good year. By the way, that's not an indictment on who you take for to build your team around. I'm not taking Sam Darnold to build my team around. That's not what I said. I said, who has had the best 2024 season in the NFC quarterback-wise? It's evident. The two guys with the records, too, are clearly better this season than what Jalen did. The Eagle offense is a cookie-cutter offense. I called it that in the pregame show. You know what that means? They're not going to beat you multiple ways in games. They're going to beat you one way. They're going to look at you and go, we're going to run the ball and run it down your throat. And if that doesn't work, then they're going to turn around like Pittsburgh, and they're going to throw the ball and not run the ball. That's what they do. Places like Minnesota and Detroit, and even now Kansas City, they run it and throw it in the same aspect, and they're more multifaceted in the game than what Philadelphia is. The difference is this. You're more dominant and more physical than those teams I mentioned. I think you're more physical than Detroit and Minnesota. That's why you can imply that and do that better. And you don't have to worry about it. I think you're more physically imposing than those two. That's why those teams have to do that. It's not a rip. You're just tougher. My assessment of the Eagles is this. We're going to beat you. They beat you one way. They're going to throw it or they're going to run it. Detroit beats you both ways in game. But Philadelphia does this. Well, we're going to run the ball because you can't stop it. Then we're going to throw the ball and you can't stop it. They're not going to be complex. They don't run a complex offense. It's very simple. But the simplicity of it is, well, we're also tougher than you. They're just tougher than you. Okay? I mean, by the way, I'm not when I said Darnold's had a better year than Hurts, that doesn't mean I would take him to build my team around him. However, Sam Darnold's going to get a lot of money in the offseason because he's a free agent. And with good coaching, I mean, if I am the Los Angeles Rams, and I look at where I'm at with Matthew Stafford and how old he is, I might want to take a look at that and put Darnold in Los Angeles with Sean McVay. And if I'm Darnold, I might take less money to go there and win myself a Super Bowl with Sean McVay. Because if I'm him, he now sees good coaching is the clear path to success. Kevin O'Connell has done a remarkable job with him in Minnesota. Look where he was. The Jets. Aaron Rodgers sucks in New York. If Aaron Rodgers sucks in New York, Sam Darnold had no chance. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, he loves Sam Darnold, but they got Brock Purdy, and they're more comfortable with that. I'd ask that question again. Who would you rather have quarterbacking your team this year, Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy? I guarantee you this. Make no mistake about it. If Sam Darnold gets that football team to the NFC Championship and they happen to win it and win that NFC Championship with Sam Darnold, people are going to look back over at Kyle Shanahan and go like this. So you made a trade for Trey Lance that cost you 3 first-rounders. You moved off of Sam Darnold for Purdy, and Purdy needs everything perfectly symmetrical around it. Not saying Darnold doesn't, but you would have moved off of you would have made 2 quarterback decisions that could have been detrimental to your success of your team. Ask yourself, do you want that guy picking the next quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers? I don't know. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. Hey, fuck that with the refs. Stop making excuses up. What's next? You're going to try to tell me that the Arizona football field was slick too, and that's what caused you to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs? Give me a fucking break. Okay? Give me a fucking break. Okay? Referees, yes, they stunk. Okay? They stunk. But when you're a player, okay, I'm biased as fuck. Biased with who? For who? Who am I rooting for? I don't root for anybody. Who am I rooting for? Chuck, who do I root for? Help me out here. What team am I rooting for? I'm not even a Bills fan. I'm a Josh Allen fan. Who the fuck am I rooting for? Who in the world am I? Have you ever heard me say I'm rooting for that team? Like in my 40 years, I've never said that. Like ever. Rooting. Who in the world am I rooting for? I can't remember when I said I'm rooting for this, except my Canes. Josh Allen, last time I checked, dog, isn't a team. I told you before, I root for players. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, you don't get any game balls because you lose. Okay? Congratulations to the Commanders. They had to get the win. By the way, hey, James, damn, I didn't pick you to I picked you to win the East. But you did get 10 wins, and most likely now are going to be a playoff team here. And the Eagles have won 2 more games than you. Shit. I missed it by 2 games. Damn. Damn. Hey, James, I didn't get it. I picked you to win the East. The Eagles got 2 more wins than you do right now. Yeah, I didn't know Josh Allen, Abe, was a fucking NFL team. But, hey, if you want to make it one there, Abraham, have at it, my good friend. Right? Oh, my God. I got to tell you, man. I think something was on display yesterday, and it was very evident. And I'll say it again. So, when Nick Sirianni tells people that he's got his pulse on his team. So you got a guy in the locker room, Gardner Johnson, who's Instagramming how bad and how horrible the refs are. And you got a guy in your locker room talking shit while the game's going on. Your starting quarterback's out. and you don't have discipline on your football team to where those guys know where you are in the moment, that everyone has to be hyper-focused because you've lost the leader of your football team and he's not in there, and you got an asshole in your locker room out there telling everybody how bad the world is. And by the way, don't believe him that he loves Philly fans. First time he got knocked out when they didn't give him his contract, he talked shit all over you. And then when he got blown out of Detroit, he talked shit on Detroit. That guy's a phony ass. He's not a real dude. That guy's like the Josh Harris of football players in Philly. He ain't really the guy. I cannot believe that people can be so snowed by bullshit. I mean, dude, don't ever believe anything out of NovaCare. If you believe anything out of NovaCare, it's like listening to the White House press secretary talking to you. Nothing's truthful. I mean, you can't be a guppy. I call people like you sheep. Sheep. Have a mind of your own. You know they're not going to tell you bullshit. By the way, then you got Jalen Carter acting like an asshole 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to get to Angelo here in a second, but I got to say this to you. You know, somebody brought it up earlier. His name was Troy, about undisciplined people. I lost a friend in Jerome Brown because he didn't have discipline in his life. Jalen Carter was involved in a situation where someone lost their life. Son, those microcosms of your life, they're important, because if you're constantly making these mistakes because of lack of maturity and discipline, they're going to follow you. Some are going to be catastrophic like Jerome. Some are going to be catastrophic to your career. The NFL is an unforgiving place. You're not graded on a bell curve. It's not a bell curve. Success, failure. There's no gray area. The only people that have gray area are people that sit in the stands. There's a reason there's more people in the stands than on the field. Okay. And Nick Sirianni, you know, I talked to him. Did you? That was the lack of discipline. That team was not disciplined in that game against an NFC foe, and you gave them a chance to win. Pickett was okay. So, I mean, again, that coach is going to cost you. Let's bring in our friend, because he's been saying this from day one. Angelo Cataldi, the legend, and I got to start it out by saying this.